This week on Vaticano, Pope Francis honors a Hungarian archaeologist with the gold medal for uncovering the place of martyrdom of John the Baptist. Stay with us to get updates on the Vatican finance trial and visit the relics of Saint Valentine, the patron saint of lovers. For this and more, Vaticano starts now.
This week, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI issued a personal letter and a legal statement regarding the abuse report for the Archdiocese of Munich-Freising, which he once was responsible for.
Il Papa Emerito, Benedetto XVI.
In the letter that was read by his personal secretary, Monsignor Georg Genswein, he expressed his heartfelt apologies to the victims of sexual abuse committed by priests. He denied all allegations of having knowingly protected perpetrators and clarified an important point. The abuse report from January the 20th faulted Ratzinger, his successor, and the current head of the Archdiocese, Cardinal Marx, for having mishandled several cases of sexual abuse. The law firm conducting the report sent questions and 8,000 pages worth of documentation ahead of the publishing of the report to Benedict. He answered with an 82-page document and rejected all allegations of wrongdoing. However, there was a mistake in these 82 pages which triggered further clarification. Because of this mistake, some opponents of the Pope Emeritus called him a liar. To clarify, Benedict XVI published two new documents, one personal letter with the aim of asking forgiveness on behalf of the whole Church to those who suffered from abuse, and a second legal document. This legal document clarified the 82-page answer contained a mistake. And this is really all about a leadership meeting in the Archdiocese of Munich-Freising, which took place on January the 15th in 1980, and whether or not Ratzinger participated in this meeting. He said no at first, but then it turned out that he was in this meeting. Supposedly, the case of an abusive priest had been discussed in this meeting, suggesting that Benedict approved the continuation of service of a sexual abuser. However, documentation of this meeting now proves that this case was not discussed in detail. Pope Benedict indeed could not have known about it. He did not try to cover up and protect perpetrators. You can find the entire letter of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI on video in EWTN Vatican YouTube channel.
The 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing are in full swing. However, 9 countries, including India, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States, have been staging diplomatic boycotts, citing China's human rights violations.
Abbraccio tutto il mondo paralimpico.
Pope Francis instead wished all the best for a successful Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games.
We are here at the Vatican.
EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief Andreas Stonhauser met with Monsignor Melchior Sanchez, a Vatican official who oversees sports, to discover what the position of the Vatican is on the Olympic Games.
The Vatican does not have an Olympic committee, but Pope Francis is very close to the Olympic Games. He has sent messages to the opening of the Olympic Games.
Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
On Wednesday in the general audience, the Pope reminded us also that sport actually can play a very important role in building bridges between cultures, between people, and also help us to build friendships. How do you see that?
Sport offers an easy way to connect people. It's up to us to follow and to maintain these bridges that the sport can easily lay down. It's not magic, it's not ideal, as every human reality is twofold. It has a dark side and the bright side. We foster the bright side of sport.
You're also involved with a group called Atletica Vaticana, so basically something like the Vatican's own sports team. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this, and will we ever see the Vatican competing at the Olympic Games?
Well, Atletica Vaticana is a sports association for Vatican citizens, very small number, residents and employees. It's a multi-sports association. It's the embryo of something, but the goal of Atletica Vaticana is not to win medals, because it would be impossible. It is not to represent the superiority of the Catholic Church or Catholics in the world of sports, but simply being present in the world of sports, bringing the Pope Francis's message, which is lately the message of the gospel, is Jesus Christ in every world, in every environment where human beings are.
And Monsignor, if you allow me a personal question at the end, are you also a sportsman? And if yes, which sports do you prefer?
Well, my nickname in social networks is modest runner, which is what I am, a very modest runner. Yes, I like practicing sport rather than watching.
Hello and welcome to the Vaticano update with the most important news from the Vatican. The Holy See opens its first embassy in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. The diplomatic relations between the two states existed since 2007, but the former apostolic nunciature was based in Kuwait. Abu Dhabi has only two Catholic churches with 100,000 expatriate parishioners. The Apostolic Nunciature in Abu Dhabi opened on the third anniversary of the document on human fraternity for world peace and living together, signed jointly by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. To mark the second International Day of Human Fraternity, the Holy Father released a video message reminding the faithful that we all live under the same heaven. Fraternal help is a rock of salvation for man. This message is part of the Expo Dubai 2020 that is currently being held. The Holy See participates in it. The Vatican Pavilion promotes intercultural and interreligious dialogue as well as human fraternity. Pope Francis petitioned the international community on behalf of the Burmese bishops to take action to end the ongoing violence in Myanmar. After the military coup in 2021, there have been mass protests and over 12,000 people have died. Praying that God will console the people of Myanmar, the Holy Father said the world cannot look away in the face of suffering of so many brothers and sisters. 20-year-old security guard Akash Bashir has been declared a servant of God after being martyred in 2015. When a suicide bomber tried to enter St. John's Catholic Church in Lahore, Pakistan, Bashir stopped the attacker and offered his life as a sacrifice to save over 1,000 lives. Now, Bashir has become the first Pakistani Christian on the road to sainthood. The Holy Father met with members of Vatican Inspectorate of the Public Security, speaking to them about the importance of placing the care of people and their dignity and safety at the center. Pope Francis thanked members for the diligence and care, reminding them that their work can enable others to encounter the Lord. Pope Francis blessed a bronze statue of Saint Josephine Bakhita and prayed for victims of human trafficking. The statue commemorates the 8th International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking. The day was marked with an online prayer marathon beginning in Oceania and ending in North America. Thank you for being with us and enjoy the rest of Vaticano. Andreas Tonhauser for EWTN from Rome.
After the break, dig into history as we meet the Hungarian archaeologist, Dr. Győző Voros, who unearthed the place of the martyrdom of St. John the Baptist. The 25th public session of the 11 Pontifical Academies of the Vatican was held at the Cancelleria Palace in Rome. This year, the academies highlighted archaeology's contribution to the Christian faith, awarding 3 scholars for their work.
The archaeological excavations are indeed very important for us, and the harmony between faith and science. What we know by faith and what we see and we discover thanks to our scientific work in archaeological research.
The Undersecretary of the Pontifical Council for Culture, Monsignor Melchor Sanchez, explains that this year the Pontifical Roman Academy awarded 3 archaeologists medals, 2 Italians with silver medals and a gold medal to the Hungarian archaeologist Dr. Győző Voros for his work in uncovering the place of martyrdom of John the Baptist, the ancient city of Machaerus. Hungarian Cardinal Peter Erdő says that the work of Dr. Voros in Machaerus is tangible evidence for the story we read in the Gospel.
In the Gospels, according to Mark and Matthew, concerning the beheading of St. John the Baptist and its circumstances with the banquet of Herod Antipas and how Salome danced, all these unbelievable details. However, this is the only Gospel narrative which has a parallel narrative from the same era, from a non-Christian work. It is absolutely unique. This parallel narrative is from Flavius Josephus. He wrote down that John the Baptist was imprisoned by Herod Antipas and killed in Machaerus. He wrote in detail about Machaerus. It was a Herodian royal city on the east bank of the Dead Sea.
For the last 12 years, Dr. Voros has been investigating the ancient biblical site of Machaerus, and he says that due to different historical circumstances, the city survived as a time capsule from the Herod Antipas era.
That the over 100,000 architectural elements that we documented during the last more than a decade of this beautiful royal palace is like a Lego. You can put these jigsaw puzzle pieces together and you can reconstruct the original spaces. This is the only and unique occasion that we have a gospel scene where in the background we can reconstruct the original Herodian built legacy.
Dr. Voros says that archaeological research for the site of Machaerus began when Pope Benedict XVI, who in 2009 while visiting Jordan, asked authorities to open the site for pilgrims. A large part had already been uncovered. However, the work is set to be completed by 2029 for the 2000th anniversary of the beheading of St. John the Baptist.
It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I have to say, in the name of my great colleagues, we felt ourselves from the beginning instruments of the merciful God, that it will be our privilege to execute this mission.
Dr. Voros concludes that the sites of the Holy Land offer an important historical context to our faith because, as Pope Paul VI put it, the Holy Land is the 5th gospel, which is not written in ink, but written on stones. 2019, one of the biggest financial scandals in recent years exploded. A perfect media cocktail mixing the Secretariat of State, a cardinal, a multi-million euro fraud, and a luxurious property in the center of London together as protagonists. It's a scandal that has been revealed as the tip of the iceberg of a murky and sometimes corrupt system of managing money set for the Pope's charities. 10 people were charged. Among them are ex-functionaries of the Holy See, monsignors and consultants, and even an important prelate, the ex-substitute of the Vatican Secretariat of State, the then Archbishop Giovanni Angelo Becciu. Faced with this situation, Pope Francis decided to actively intervene, modifying a series of norms and laws. It's a decision that not all have agreed with, seeing as the changes were made with the trial already underway. But let's start at the beginning. It all begins in 2014, when the Vatican Secretariat of State decides to invest about 200 million euros in the purchase of stock in a luxurious property in the center of London. The then number 2 of the Secretariat of State, Monsignor Angelo Becciu, together with Monsignor Alberto Perlasca and Fabrizio Tirabassi, in charge of the administration of the Secretariat, give the green light for the financial operation. But in this case, they don't go to a trusted broker, but they give the management to another intermediary, Raffaele Mincione. From the beginning, the new broker promotes the transaction that he describes as extremely convenient, but in practice, it would prove to be the exact opposite. Finally, in 2018, the transaction is formalized, proving to be a disaster. Time passes and the economic loss inexorably increases. Before this situation, it's decided to pay Mincione off with 40 million euros, and the Secretariat of State passes the management of the London property to a new broker, Gianluigi Torzi, who, together with Mincione and 8 others, would end up on the list of those charged with fraud, abuse of power, embezzlement, and money laundering, among other things. Some time passes and the contract with Torzi proves to be a mistake. The Holy See continues to lose money. Faced with this situation, and after the dismissal of Monsignor Perlasca, Becciu's secretary, Monsignor Mauro Carlino, is put in charge of the negotiation of the payment of Gianluca Torzi. The negotiation is concluded with a payout of 15 million euros. Monsignor Carlino would be accused of extortion and abuse of power. In 2019, the scandal around the London property explodes, and Pope Francis actively intervenes by way of 4 reports, solicited by the promoters of justice. That is to say, 4 responses written personally by the pontiff about controversial juridical themes applicable to this concrete case. With these documents, Pope Francis intervenes in the London case, nullifying the official secret and authorizing the use of any instrument for the interception of information, among other things. Finally, on July the 27th, 2021, the Vatican trial begins. The 10 charged respond to accusations related to the illicit use of funds managed by the Secretariat of State. Among them, the figure of Monsignor Angelo Becciu stands out, who in September of 2020 renounced his position as prefect of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints, losing at the same time his privileges as a cardinal. For example, he will not be able to participate in a future conclave. It's the first time that a cardinal has been judged by the Tribunal of the Vatican City-State due to a change in canon law that Pope Francis made 2 months before the beginning of the trial. Until that moment, cardinals could only be judged by the Supreme Tribunal of the Apostolic Signatura, composed of 3 cardinals. Becciu declares himself innocent of all the accusations. The ex-substitute of the Apostolic Secretariat will have to respond to the accusations of abuse of power and bribery. Up until today, the trial for the London property continues slowly. The next audience, planned by the President of the Tribunal of the Vatican City-State, will be on the 18th of February, 2022. When we return, meet the patron saint of lovers and learn how he earned this title.
Vorrei incontrarti fra 100 anni.
There's a saint in the Catholic Church known by both Christians and non-Christians. His feast day was established by one pope to replace a pagan celebration, but another pope removed him from the official Roman calendar.
Saran belli più di ieri. Vorrei incontrarti fra
This saint is Saint Valentine, patron saint of lovers.
rosa rossa tra le mie mani. Dolce profumo nelle
In 2014, Pope Francis met with more than 20,000 engaged couples to celebrate Saint Valentine's Day.
saran belli più di
È possibile amarsi per sempre?
During the encounter, Pope Francis said that loving someone forever is possible if we are humble and if it is built on the rock of true love that comes from God. The Holy Father has a special love for couples. Each Wednesday, after the general audience, he blesses newlyweds. In 2014, he married 20 couples in St. Peter's Basilica.
L'uomo non osi separare ciò che Dio unisce.
But the most unusual thing was in January of 2018, when the Holy Father made history by celebrating the sacrament of matrimony for 2 flight attendants on board the papal plane flying over Chile. Why is such importance given to lovers, and who is this saint so directly tied to couples? One of the traditions is that Saint Valentine was a Roman priest who preached about romantic love with a Christian perspective. His relics are kept here, inside the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedin. The rector of the Basilica, Monsignor Ciad Abud, tells the story of Saint Valentine.
The emperor at the time had decided to stop soldiers from getting married. Why? Because they thought that if a soldier got married, he would lose some of his strength, his concentration, and not succeed in focusing on the war or going against the enemies that were attacking the country. Saint Valentine was an inconvenient saint for them, because he believed that family life gave support to a person. He continued to administer the sacrament of matrimony according to the Christian faith. It is a sacred union between a man and a woman.
In a time when the definition of marriage is constantly being attacked and distorted, Saint Valentine's story is a great argument in defense of the sanctity of marriage.
And from this, Saint Valentine gives us another message that even today we need to clarify our idea of matrimony. Because for his convictions, Saint Valentine was put in prison. We ask for his intercession, that we can truly live the moments of being in love, and that we can live our faith and sacraments, truly living with a profound and strong faith.
This year, the Church highlights the importance of love and family by celebrating the Amoris Laetitia Family Year, ahead of the 10th World Meeting of Families that will take place in Rome, June the 22nd to the 26th.